and glitter effects to my Procreate pictures, especially my alcohol ink pictures. So I'm going to show you that there's actually a few different ways, and I'm showing you some close-ups of ways I use the clipping mask. And then you can use all kinds of different textured brushes or confetti and things like that, or here's a stamp. Sometimes if you go in too close, you kind of lose that look of the gold, and it also depends upon like how bright the gold is and how strong your stamp is and things like that. And I'm going to get rid of some of these layers in a second. But here, what some people do is they just use glittery brushes to do it, and they don't use a clipping mask. But I actually think that the easiest way is with a clipping mask. And then what you do is you just draw underneath the clipping mask, or you can use any kind of your stamps or anything like that, and just get things on there. And that's how I did all of these things. And I'm going to start to get rid of some of these these things here, because I got to show you this. Okay, so there's a gold piece that's inserted, and that's what I would use for a clipping mask in a minute. But I just want to show you that I did some of these things just with some built-in brushes. And one of the differences is I'm doing one of the magic papers. And you can see when I have the magic papers on, it will really make things look a lot different. So that's the Bono chalk. And if you go to that one, which is under I think it's sketching. Bono chalk, and you make it big, and you have your layer with a palette that I've set these gold palettes here, and you do that, and then that could look a lot like glitter, and that's not even using a clipping mask. So that's just another way too. So I'm going to get rid of some of these things here though, so it's not too confusing. And here I'd use some of my alcohol ink brushes. It doesn't look very glittery, but again, if I put on that paper, it really does make it look glittery. So that's another way to do it. And that's one of my alcohol ink brushes. And let's just get rid of that. And so, like I said before, some of the easiest ways to do it is just to work on the layer below a clipping mask. So I have the black background. I'm going to change the background back to white so you can see that. And I'm going to actually maybe make the background something like that so that you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, it's under drawing. I like Little Pine. And you can see, actually, when you go to the brush studio, if you know about the brush studio, if you look up in the upper left corner, you can see that it's actually two brushes combined. And I did something, I made my own based on that kind of a brush. I'll show you, that was the other one. So now I'm going to draw on this layer here, and I kind of like that. And actually, I could be drawing in black. I actually prefer to draw in black. Not that it makes much of a difference. And you can go thin or thick. You can wiggle it where you would think it would go the best, you know, where it's darker, thicker. And things often do look better on a darker background, I have to say. So sometimes a little bit of a darker background. And now I'm going to also show you that sometimes if you put a black under it, let me get this. that's good too. So sometimes what I do is I'll make another copy, and that way there's like this black layer underneath, and then you can do things like go to Gaussian blur and blur that out, so when you go back to your gold, it has that standout look to it. So that's one of my tricks, is to make that happen. And then, you know, when you're in here and you're back with everything, and I'm on this, I could do anything here. So I could go to some of my brushes that I've made recently, an alcohol ink. This was that untitled brush that I just made, and it's kind of funny. It's a different kind of look. And also you can do things like just do the stamp of the bubble in gold in there too, and other fun things that you could just do on there with the gold. Like you could just do some alcohol stuff with the gold, and everybody likes splatter, right? And then it just, again, like you'll see if I go to a darker background, that's too dark, but you can start to see a lot of that, the gold stuff there happening. So I hope that this has explained to you a good few ways that you can actually do it. But my favorite way is to use the clipping mask. But there are a lot of brushes that will also emulate it. And then you can see the difference, I think, when you have a textured paper under it, it gives it much, much more of a look. So I hope this really, really helped you. And I'm gonna say, here's the stamps, right? And I'm just using the clipping layer. And it depends upon exactly how much, which color gold you have. As you can see here, I have two different color golds. So it really could depend upon what's going on. Like there, that's the, you can see that this is the lighter gold, and this is the darker gold color. And if I draw on here, anything like that, it's always fun. I did buy someone's brushes called A Walk in the Park, and I did think the reason why it was so much fun was actually the dandelion. And where do I got that? There. But sometimes you could look at brushes that people made, or you can look at a lot of the built-in brushes. And like there's already a lot of brushes that are built into here, like in water. There's already a paint splatter. You don't have to pay for that. You can change that. Those are already built in. And then you could do something like you go to the brush studio. Well, you duplicate it first. Not sure why it's not going here. I maybe have been using up a lot of memory. There you go. You know, the brush studio, and then you look at the shape, and you can change the shape, and you can change the grain. So if you change the grain by going to the source library and picking something like that, it's going to have a slightly different look. It's probably not the best example of how to show it. Hope that was good. Not too long.